Hi, everybody. I'm Kyle Ellicott. Welcome back to another episode of VCTV. Today, July 17th, Friday. Friday, what does that mean? We're talking about everything from fundraising to business models to what it means to be an investor and an entrepreneur in this new normal that we're looking at going forward in the next 6 to 12 months. We just had a great episode with 5 investors from around the world sharing their insights on what it's been in what their experience has been raising venture funds, also making investments where the opportunities have been, and along with some advice on for entrepreneurs building and fundraising over the next 6 to 12. And now, this second episode today, we wanted to actually welcome on some great entrepreneurs building some real transformative stuff in their industries, respectfully, to talk about what they're seeing happening, what their new normal looks like, and then also how they're seeing business models change for the good, and also some of the lessons they've learned looking ahead in the next 6 to 12 as they both go on to dominate their industries as well. And so, like we do here on every episode of VCTV, we welcome you, but also welcome your questions and comments. Feel free to drop them in the chat box as you are watching us live here. And feel free, if you're watching the follow-up afterwards, to reach out to us, as we are available on social media every time. If you like what you hear today, click subscribe, and also feel free to reach out. If you'd like to be on an episode of Startup Leaders Club, where we do talk with entrepreneurs and get a chance to share your insights, your lessons learned, and maybe a little shameless promotion as you deserve, feel free to reach out, and we'd love to hear from you as well. And thank you to Elena and to the entire LA Token team for making VCTV possible and bringing it to your screen wherever you may be, on whatever device you may be watching us on all around the world. Super excited to get started. And gentlemen, I want to welcome each of you to the show. And as we do here on every episode, give yourselves a chance to introduce what you're doing and who you are and a little bit about your background. And then we'll get into today's topic as well. And so, Nadir, I'll let you kick it off. As we were talking just moments ago, pre-show, a little introduction on yourself and then a little background.
Thank you, Kyle. My name is Nadir Bagaviv. I have a startup, Bagaviv Corporation. We are building, in the beginning, we're building reusable single stage to orbit rockets. The key things here are that it's completely reusable, and the second is that it's a single piece. Single stage means that there is no second one that falls off to the ocean or lands, which makes rockets personal, meaning that now you can own a yacht, an airplane, and a rocket. So going to space is going to be like going on a private island, or going to another continent is going to be a 30-minute thing. That's the beginning, and we'll continue on with building homes in space, and that's kind of a main tenet, that space is home. We usually think of space as let's go mine for solar power or some resources on the moon and Mars, but I want to kind of domesticate space, so to speak, so we can have homes in orbit. So if you're a writer, or I don't know, if you make movies, maybe you go to your space home for 6 months, you go back to Earth for groceries, and then you come back and continue, your work. Same goes for scientists, for hotels, for honeymoons, for nightclubs. Basically, we need to make space a destination, so to speak. And we start with building the largest 3D printer in the world, which is going to be about 50 feet by 50 feet by 100 feet, which is about 15 meters by 15 meters by 30 meters. So we can print complete rockets as one piece. I hope that's a good enough brief introduction in the beginning, and we'll carry on.
Yeah, I mean, before we get to Sabra, I want to ask real quick, how did you get into this space? I mean, how did you get in this industry? Yeah, let me start with that, because you're talking about personal rockets and 3D printing of rockets. In some cases, we're still 3D printing, little models, right? We're still trying to 3D print food, and you're going, nope, I'm looking above to the stars and well beyond that. So how did you get into this?
If we talk about childhood, I just wanted to go to space myself. So my whole path is kind of going there. I wanted to be a pilot first, but my eyes are not too good. So I thought, okay, I'll just have a startup company and build my own rockets. Business-wise, I started sending applications to different accelerators, and the first one who responded was Boost VC in San Mateo, ran by Adam Draper, and his father, Tim Draper, is our big investor. So I kind of got them interested in a small rockets. I started testing rockets with first investment in Half Moon Bay, which is a very nice, quiet town by the ocean. Got everybody scared with my rocket engines.
I was saying, until you're shooting off rockets. I mean,
yeah, we launched one rocket in Mojave Desert. Thanks goodness, in United States, it's very permissive in the sense that there are places where you just go and experiment. You do whatever you want, and as long as you don't go beyond certain altitudes, you're fine. So Silicon Valley gives a lot of gives you an opportunity to try what you really want to try. And now we're moving from small rockets to a big one. So we'll start building things that are 6 or 10-story high instead of just 2-story high rockets.
I love it. I mean, even 2 stories is bigger than most even dream of building a rocket. So congratulations on that, and excited to dive deeper as well. And Sabra, apologies, Sabra,
Okay.
welcome to the show. It's a pleasure to have you as well. And similar question, a little background and a little introduction on yourself.
So I have a very small startup, which is a co-working cafeteria, and I work with a lot of startups. So my expertise lies in gamification and the PR of the startups. So I just do small investments in all the startups working in my co-working and around, and I help them grow with the network of investors that I have, mentors I have, and accelerators I have. So I'm based in 2 cities in India. Which is Bombay, Mumbai, and the hometown where I am, Bangalore.
Got it. And what got you into co-working? And the reason I ask is I've heard a lot of activity is happening in India right now around startups, around investment, as we've had investors from the region throughout actually the whole country share with us their insights. But co-working specifically, I've had a chance to meet some of the big managers and owners of co-working spaces locally in India, and it seems like a booming industry as well, and a very exciting one. So what got you into that?
So before co-working, 9 years back, I started a small cafeteria out of passion. I'm basically a computer engineer who used to freelance around the world, sometimes working here and there. I used to always work from a cafe. And co-working was a very new term till 2016 in India. So so in 2011, I started a cafe, and I used to help. And there were a lot of guys who used to come and work at my place. I used to organize networking events like LinkedIn meetups and all those things. And slowly and gradually, we converted into a co-working cafeteria. So
very cool.
People here don't pay for a seat or something. They just pay for food. They take a package like $100 and they eat for $100. So there are conference rooms, there everything. It's all there.
I love it. A cafeteria you can work at, you can eat at, and you can hang out at. That's a kitchen. I like that idea. Great concept.
With a fitness center as well, so people can just opt in for all the fitness meals and workouts at the same place.
You can eat, walk on a treadmill, do your meeting, and hang out with people at the same time. I love it. And do you focus on any particular companies, or is it open for everybody as well?
I really look at my network, how I can help this product grow at a pace I want. Thanks to being in the city from last 12 years, I'm connected through everyone I've hosted majority of people. So I know where I can take this product, what are the changes it needs, maybe with the UI, with the designs, or maybe this write out strategy. So through my network, I get them to another level and in cash.
I like it. And that kind of leads me to our first question of the day, and our big topic around business models and looking at the new norm. I mean, Nadir, you're in a very, very big industry, all puns intended on that, as you're building something bigger than life. But both you and Sabar, you've had to see changes in the business models that you were putting together initially, and now looking towards the new norm, how have those changed? So Sabar, let's start with you, as you're working with several companies. Let's talk a little bit about business models. What are you seeing, and also kind of what have you seen change in the new norm?
So healthcare is like upcoming focus. Like this is something I'm looking at. And I'm also looking at decentralized all the services, like be it computation, be it identification, verification, security, especially cyber security, which is the new normal coming up nowadays. I'm also expecting AI machine learning to grow like anything. Like it will just take over the world. But I see a future where there will be trillions of devices deployed everywhere, and this is where the decentralization will really help with all the crypto technology, the crypto blockchain, and everything will come in space. I also look at space connectivity, which is gonna do a really much bigger job in helping the world. Like in India has the connectivity plans, but it's all the least of all. So this is where I'm looking at. I'm looking at a drone highways. Like you have like flights which are like have certain paths to follow. So I'm looking at a space pathways powered by satellites, because they know how to, through the technology it will be powered through them. Through satellites, I see people driving their trucks sitting at remote locations. This is what the need of the hour is.
Yeah, and I think that's yeah.
Let me just give me a minute. Let me just sort this out.
No worries. So Nadir, let's come to you. So for you, what are you seeing in terms of your business model, and how has that changed going forward? So Sabar, I'm going to come to Nadir for just a second, and I'll come back to you. Nadir.
Yes, I think the trends in the world is, which is probably a cliche thing to say, but rich people getting richer and poor people getting poorer. And there are a couple of things that are even making it stronger. One of them is this coronavirus, which makes a lot of people poor because they cannot even work anymore. And another one is automation, which means, for example, myself as a designer, all I need is a 3D printer, and I can be a factory of one person, so to speak. I don't need to hire 5,000 people anymore. It's interesting that Sabar, in his field, it seems that it makes sense to move towards like dorms, for example, co-working spaces combined with dorms, because there are a lot of smart people who will have difficulties to find a place to eat or to live, but they still are very valuable, and they have a lot of brain power to produce something new. So just by moving to that space, I think it's possible to help a lot of people. Myself, because of this automation, our teams are going to be very small. 10 people, maybe 20 people is enough to run a company as big as, well, I wouldn't say Boeing, but in a sense that we can produce things as large as Boeing just by having very few talented people. I think that's the biggest trend. And yeah, people have exhausted Earth, so to speak. Now they're moving towards the ocean and towards space. Those are trends. I don't know the outcomes. If something new will come to my mind, I'll let you know. But that's what's happening right now in the world.
So, but and then I totally agree. But for you and your business, I mean, how are you setting your business model, looking ahead for the next 6 to 12 months? I mean, what does that look like for you as a business? Aside from a smaller distributed team, I think that's absolutely a must, as we've talked about previously on episodes. But as a business, how are you looking at your business model and the types of products or services that you may now sell or may now look at maybe differently going ahead? and maybe even
Well,
longer, right? I mean, you're building a company that's
yes.
for 10 to 50 years, not necessarily 3 to 5.
And well, yes, as I've described, now space is becoming available, and own rockets becomes available, which is a very strange new world where some individuals can just buy a rocket and either run away to space or go to another country within 30 minutes. As in how it describes our first close 6 to 12 months. I don't know, building a factory, producing rockets, and without requirement, it becomes very individualistic. For us, it's not about big public. It's not about inspiring thousands or hundreds of thousands of people. In the past, to go to space, you needed, a lot of public support. Now, with few investors, few customers, few smart people, you can move the earth, so to speak. You can do very large things. I don't know. Do you have any more detailed questions? It's difficult to answer as how.
I have a question.
Yeah. So real quick. I mean, the reason I ask is, I mean, business is not the same as it was, and you bring up a good point. I mean, you're in the 3D printing space, right? And now you're having to build factories. I mean, space is available. The regulation has started to come down. It's becoming more acceptable, as you mentioned, with building and going to space as well. So I think you came to it perfectly, and that's exactly what I wanted to hear. And I think our audience is wanting to hear around this area. We've talked on previous episodes around space tech and what that means for building and investing in space. And the thing that tends to be forgotten is regulation and how much this really has come down and how really accepted it is in many cases to build for it. So I think you're right on that as well. And Sabar, I know I interrupted your question. I apologize, but go ahead.
There are still some components that you might need to source, and with the disruptions in logistics right now, like I'm facing this in India, the logistics have shut down.
Yes.
How are you coping with that?
It affects space industry latest just because there is so much money comes from military, and if you know, the military budgets are now growing because, I don't know, people are either still preparing for World War III, which I don't think is going to happen. I think it'll just blow over in a year.
Let's keep politics out. So just from a general state, like what's happening? Yeah.
I'm just saying that aerospace is least affected because there is enough money rotating around. Hopefully, we will start extracting enough value from space that it's kind of like you stand on one island and you try to jump on the other island, and you have to use all your strength. And if you use all your strengths, you will do it well. But if you reserve yourself, you'll fall into water. So space is like that right now. I think if we use all our strengths as to reach moon, for example, start mining moon, or start building power plants in space to produce a lot of solar power, we make that jump and make space profitable. But if we don't try hard enough, then economy will crash, including aerospace investments and everything else. And then everybody will be in a very difficult situation. But if we do that jump and space started bringing money, not just data, right now it's good for connectivity, internet, and surveillance, but that doesn't bring food. It spends. It's not a real economy. It's a data economy. I mean, you can consume terabytes of data, but you still need to have food. But by bringing energy or resources from moon or space, we are closing that gap and making space a resource.
Absolutely. And for your business and business,
sure,
go ahead.
Do you think there can be a thin line which defines space? Because internet was meant to solve all world's problem, but it turned out to be entertainment. what do you think is the thin line that defines the space for better use?
You mean what to do in space for better use?
Yeah, like internet was supposed to like a totally world. It was supposed to solve world's problem. It was supposed to connect the world to bring
Yes.
problems together and solve it. But it turned out
Yes.
to be entertainment.
Yes. Well, I think the biggest one is energy, habitats, and resources. So when I say energy, you can have solar power plants in space and just feed the whole country with one big station. You don't need to take over your arable lands or any kind of flat land to build your solar panels, and you can bring energy, and energy is real value. Living space, right now it sounds ridiculous because each flight to space costs $20 million or so. But eventually there will be cities in space. People will live in space, and there will be a million people city, and it will produce its own value and science from that, specifically a circular ecology, meaning that whatever you eat turns into food for plants that you eat again. So instead of polluting earth, oceans, rivers, you finally close that ecological circle. And it will be valuable on earth too. You don't just do it in space. You can start building cities in the middle of Sahara Desert or Gobi Desert or anywhere else, and it will not consume, fresh waters or things like that.
Yeah.
And third one is resources. Moon will be valuable for helium-3, for example. It's the energy source for thermonuclear power plants that will be much easier than what currently is tried with hydrogen. And basically it's expanding mankind. We should start treating Earth like a precious island. I don't know, like a Goa or Hawaii or something, and come here only for vacations, and live and work in space. So basically, stop abusing Earth. I think that is the future towards which we go to. And yes, we need to make that big jump, so to speak. It's not in a very immediate future. It's not in 5 years, but it is in 15 years.
Absolutely. And Sabara, I want to come to you. I mean, you're here as a guest, so I've got questions for you to learn as well. And I want to understand how your business model may have changed, or what you're seeing as new business models that are coming out of this new norm. As you work with so many companies, I mean, you have a co-working cafe. People are also sheltered in place. So how has that kind of changed, and what are you thinking about going forward as that the new norm for your business? And then we'll get into some of those companies you work with as well.
So what we've done is we have taken the Zoom way when it comes to our classes, which are like all the fitness workouts and also the networking sessions, and along with music sessions that we do. So we have gone digital from the very first month itself. With the food part is something that what we have done is, instead we have just made the complexity into different nodes and started doing deliveries right at their doorsteps. So we have changed our model. The workforce that we have is obviously sort of cut down because of the government norms. We are supposed to operate at our space with 30% capacity to maintain social distancing and all these problems. So we have used this time to build something new and also look at our own things. We have redone our place during this time, focused more on each and every startup and individuals. We have spoken to each one of them. We launched our own new products more and more in the fields that about to rise up. When it comes like sharing music, going virtual things, working with artists and entrepreneurs together, because entertainment is one of the things that will help people go past this era. There, like I'm not political, but there are chances of war. With speaking from an Indian point of view.
Yeah.
And then again, we are dealing with corrupt governments across the country from the very beginning. So we are looking at things changing when it comes to implementation. We are looking at digitization of the place.
Mhm.
And digitization is something which is happening great. So these are the companies like we are looking for now. We're doing a rounds of post. You come over. We're there to help you out.
Yeah, and so some of those companies you're looking at or you're working with, how have their business models maybe changed as well, going and looking ahead going forward in the next 6 to 12 months? I mean, you went from being a co-working space to also making deliveries and building new products. How are some of these other companies that you're working with, maybe some use cases or examples of how they've shifted their business models as well?
So like there was a company which used to deal in groceries, the grains.
Mhm.
They scaled up to the 4 other cities because they had the tech with them. They know the sources and they just needed very few delivery permissions to make sure the products are gone. So they just closed a 22 million round of funding from SoftBank, one of our co-working companies in our co-working. So a lot of companies, 70% entrepreneurs driven companies, like it's all about entrepreneurs how they want to take this thing, everything from them is an opportunity. So they were the one rising up. They're encashing this opportunity. A few
Yeah.
companies which are service based, like who are into coding and all, they are the ones who suffered because India had the biggest lockdown of 1.3 billion people. So everyone left home and India is not digitized. So they had kind of issues working remotely. So they are the ones on the down. But product based companies who had tech very much strong are the ones rising up with us.
Sounds like huge opportunity for businesses as well to move into that digitization process or just general automation. What other trends are you seeing in India on the ground around building and technology today?
It's more on connectivity.
Hmm.
People are more looking towards connectivity. I spoke to a guy yesterday. He worked with a company called Spacefy, and they wanted to do space-based internet,
Hmm.
but couldn't get the permissions. India, so I was speaking. He's a Harvard graduate. But because of lockdown, he has to be in India.
Hmm.
He's looking for things, and I would like to have Nadir connect with him to maybe something great can happen in this country. So I'm looking
Yeah.
at these kind of things, and you guys have been great. Just I was thinking of space, and you guys connected me to Nadir.
Well, yeah, we brought all of you together. So Nadir, just curious, what do you see? Kind of your thoughts as we're coming up to the top of the hour here. I want to make sure we get just one or two more questions in. But what are you seeing as you're thinking of what space in the space industry will be over the next 3 to 5 years? What's getting you excited, and what's your prediction for the near future?
Well, space will become very private. There will be way more satellites in space than now. You probably know how SpaceX, well, not SpaceX, but Starlink is launching 11,000 satellites. Others are doing the same. So now it's actually a gold rush for orbits. Whoever claims the orbit, it's theirs. And then you don't need to rent it from anybody because space does not belong to anybody. So people will be chasing these orbits and trying to occupy the orbits as fast as possible. Now, private companies, but soon enough, governments will wake up too and say, "Hey, we want this 1,000-kilometer orbit or 1,500-kilometer orbit." And hopefully, there will be enough deconfliction and everything else. There should be something like space traffic control, like air traffic control when you fly into airport. There has to be something like an international space traffic control, which may help a lot in a sense that world will reunify on a different reasons, like safety in space and things like that. So it's up to us maybe to start up companies to reunite the world, including what he was telling about, um, in places where things are even more difficult, like in India, for example, like combining co-working spaces with, I don't know, farming communes, for example.
Yeah.
Education,
Robots.
basically.
Yeah. It's a new crop of leaders, I guess, and it's not based on how much weapons you have, but more of how smart you are and how quickly you move to reconnect again before world completely falls apart. To reconnect again in these more complex spaces, like making business, but also helping people, connecting people through space. Yeah, that's what I think are the trends.
Yeah, it sounds like being. Sorry, go ahead.
Trends is a lot of satellites. I hope to set a trend of living in space, and people will start looking again towards Moon and Mars as towards mines, I guess. Make money, make living, and so it's going to be a gold rush, not only in orbit, but also take the best piece of Moon or take a best piece of Mars before anybody else does.
Absolutely. So it sounds like very, very collaborative, very strategic, very forward thinking, and then also new opportunities, a new economy or economies will come from this, which is a huge opportunity for those that are looking to build or looking to really start entering this space with your products and services, or investors. This is an opportunity. It's early days today, as we've talked about previously here on VCTV, but as Nadir is mentioning, there's a lot of opportunity ahead of us. And so whether it be space tourism, whether it be mining, whether it be residential, or just general services and work and everything in between, there's so much opportunity. So really do your research, talk to entrepreneurs that are building in the space like Nadir and others, along with those investing, and get a sense of what all is going on and where may be best for you, and somewhere that you can also add value and you can be a part of. But remember, this is a long game, and that's not a bad thing. It's just something to be mentally prepared for, because those companies are focusing solely on space, are definitely looking ahead for the next, not just decade, but the decades to come. And you want to be a part of that, to make sure you're on that same mindset and ready to be on that journey with them through the ups and the downs, the highs and the lows, wherever they may go beyond the stars or here on Earth. So thank you, Nadir. And then Sabara, I want to come to you. I mean, what are you seeing as the trends in India going forward in the next 3 to 5 years, and particularly around some of the work that you do or investments as well, here as we come to the close in the top of the hour?
Education, research, and innovation. Like with the schools and colleges being shut, the virtual classrooms have taken a good thing. And I've seen there's a co-working, there's a foreign education company which is there in my co-working. They are now getting Harvard courses for everyone. So, and I've seen people innovating. So research, innovation, and education is something which is next 2-3 years gonna rise up, because the next era is all about skills and knowledge. The reason why I'm honored to be here, because maybe I have some knowledge. And knowledge
you do have some knowledge. It's not a maybe. You do have a knowledge. I'll reinforce that. You do.
Thank you. So knowledge is the key. Knowledge is what makes us earn. And equal opportunities will bring equal knowledge. Equal knowledge will bring equal opportunities for everyone to grow. So this is something I'm looking forward to and good at. And this is the kind of people I would love to be associated with.
Absolutely. And Sabara, as we do here on every episode, we like to give a quick one-line closing thought, and then also where everyone can find you online, so your URL or on social media, so that our audience can reach out and connect with you. And I'd love to start with you on those quick closing thoughts. Then where can everyone find you online?
I'm available on LinkedIn by saurabh.sagurabh.shriVastava. I'll probably type it down for my friend here. And I'm available on Twitter and Instagram as well.
And what's the name of the co-working space? Where can everyone find that as well?
It's Mangosteen Eco Lifestyle. So we have things all made of like lifestyle products. We try to use minimum plastics in our co-working.
There you go. One of the best co-working spaces in all of India, if not the world. I'll give you that credit today, my friend. Nadir, same to you. Quick closing thoughts, and then where can everyone find you and the company online if they want to connect and learn more about 3D printing and then also space in general?
Look optimistically into the future. Invest in space. Space is one of those places where you have to be collaborative. You cannot you cannot fly there without deconfliction with others. You can find contacts at our website, bagaviv.com. Obviously, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, I'm almost everywhere. And yeah, stay optimistic. We will reconnect again. This will pass over and we will be even a better humanity than we were.
Absolutely. And gentlemen, thank you both very much for joining today's episode of Startups Leader Club. Thank you to your audience as well for tuning in. If you like what you heard, make sure to give us a thumbs up, click the subscribe button. Please do reach out to both of our founders today if you want to learn about their respected industries and who they are and what they're doing. They are doing some very big stuff. And in summary today, as Nadir said, continue to be collaborative, continue to look positive, continue to stay open and look towards the stars and well beyond that, as there's plenty of opportunity out there, as both Nadir and Sabara have mentioned today. And just go out there, grab it, and make sure it's the right focus for you. Make sure it does not divert from your current business efforts, and it is something of an opportunity for you. And as if you're looking to invest, that you can add additional value to as well. I'm Kyle Ellicott, your host. A big thank you to Elena and to the entire LA Token team for bringing this episode of VCTV to you all around the world. We'll be back here Monday with a whole set of episodes and a whole week worth of many episodes, from Startup Leaders Club to shows with investors about all kinds of different industries and topics. So get ready to learn more about what's happening in the world and where we go from here. I'm Kyle Ellicott, your host. Check us out